President Biden delivered one of his most powerful remarks on the international stage at the NATO summit that is taking place in Washington, D.C. this week, kicking off the 75th anniversary of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the 32-nation member alliance that constitute the world top military alliance. In his remarks, the president paid tribute to the milestone anniversary of the NATO that is taking place this year, underscoring the strength and unity among the members and partners, and noting that NATO is more powerful than ever and better resource than it has ever been. And the president in his remarks states that it is a good thing that we are stronger than ever before, because this moment in history called for our collective strength. This, of course, the president was referring to the 2-year aggression from Russia against Ukraine, the ongoing war in Ukraine right now, and the threats that China have come to pose to the international community, especially the European nation as well as the U.S. President Biden noted that he underscored in his remarks also that Ukraine will prevail in the war against Russia. In the next 3 days, there will be several discussions. Of course, we know that Ukraine will play a major part of that of this year agenda, discussion around Ukraine, support for Ukraine, as well as other threats that, as I mentioned, that China have come to pose to EU and also to the US. President Joseph R. Biden Jr. and the First Lady Dr. Jill Biden welcomed NATO leaders and their spouses, along with the leaders from the Indo-Pacific region, to the Andrew Mellon Auditorium in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, where the North Atlantic Treaty was first signed in 1949, kicking off the 75th anniversary celebration of NATO and NATO summit that is taking place in D.C. this week at the Washington Convention Center. The President and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, in their remarks, underscored the importance of the alliance at this pivotal moment in history, as autocrats around the world try to overturn global order and terrorist groups continue to plot evil schemes to cause mayhem, chaos, and suffering around the world. The President also announced a new donation to Ukraine defense system that will support Ukraine defense system in conjunction with Germany, the Netherlands, Romania, and Italy. This will provide additional security strategy for Ukraine as it continues to defend itself against Russia's aggression. President Biden, at the end of his remarks, awarded U.S. highest honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award, to the Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg for his service to NATO and his commitment and leadership to the alliance.
to the Andrew Mellon Auditorium for an event commemorating the 75th anniversary of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Invités distingués, bienvenue à l'Auditorium Andrew Mellon pour la commémoration du 75e anniversaire de l'organisation du traité de l'Atlantique Nord.
75th anniversary of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Summit in Washington, D.C.
Distinguished guests, the First Lady of the United States, accompanied by Mrs. Ingrid Schuler, and the spouses and partners of the NATO allies and partner countries. Invités distingués, la première fois accompagnée par Madame Ingrid Schuler, les épouses et partenaires et partners de la Première Distinguished guests, the President of the United States, accompanied by the Secretary General of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the NATO allied leaders. Invités distingués, le Président des États-Unis, accompagné par le Secrétaire Général de l'Organisation du Traité de l'Atlantique Nord et les alliés OTAN.
including the newest member, Finland, and Sweden. Are taking their seats. Again, the 75th anniversary ceremony commenced.
In April 1949, 12 nations came together in Washington to sign the North Atlantic Treaty.
The Russians have not demobilized. They retain overwhelmingly the largest force in Europe.
From Budapest come the first pictures of the rainbow which has shaken the world.
In Berlin, brick, mortar, wire make up what decent people call the Wall of Shame.
More Russian troops were on Czechoslovak soil than were Americans in Vietnam.
It appears military forces are crossing the border.
A platoon of troops deployed this morning around the main airport in Crimea.
President Putin ordered atrocious acts of aggression against innocent people.
What does it really mean to be a good friend? To be there for somebody else? To know that they will be there for you? To have each other's backs? But we all know that true friendship is not that simple. There's more to it than that. There's more demanded of you than that.
In this treaty, we seek to establish freedom of immigration. To protect this area against war will be a long step toward permanent peace in the whole world.
Friendship starts out as a promise we make to each other and to ourselves.
Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
It's a pledge to take the other's interests as seriously as you take your own.
We are determined to resist aggression, whatever its cause, and whatever kind of force is needed to resist it.
Over time, it creates an unbreakable bond, an alliance, partnerships. That alliance becomes an identity, an expression of who we are as people. Those partnerships make us all stronger. There's a moral compass at work that not only guides us, it's on display for all the world to see.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
The dangers of acting are far outweighed by the dangers of not acting. Dangers to defenseless people and to our national interests.
NATO is a defense alliance. NATO has no intention of attacking anybody. It's to increase the capabilities for defense.
In an uncertain and chaotic world, it removes a measure of doubt and offers us the chance to help shape our own destiny.
NATO soldiers trying to rescue trapped residents carrying children to safety.
Like a stone that skips across the water, a good friendship creates a ripple through space and time. It touches everyone we know, and everyone who will ever know us. Take the story of one boy in Bosnia who was 5 years old when the war came to his doorstep.
I remember the tanks coming into our city. Sitting outside on my steps of where we lived, suddenly I heard a whistling sound, had no clue what it was, and then a rocket hit my kindergarten right in front of me.
Byro Bazaico also remembers the day the Allied forces helped liberate his city and returned his father from a concentration camp.
I'll never forget the night that my dad finally came home. I remember waking up and not recognizing the man in front of me. I could see every bone in his body. Without the presence of NATO, I don't know if I would be here today, yet alone my entire family.
The memories of his childhood would be a defining moment of his life.
I felt like I always had a calling for service. I remember getting to go to Afghanistan and Iraq. And every time that I would see a child living in that danger, I couldn't help but see myself. There's a lot of bad people out there that are willing to do evil and unimaginable things. And the world needs good people to be able to step up and stop that.
This alliance is not just about military action under the terms of a decades-old treaty. This is a constantly evolving dialogue about the dangers in the world today.
The defense of freedom is not the work of a day or a year. It's the calling of our lifetime. When others do better, we do better as well.
Friendship takes work. The job today is defending a better, safer future together.
With unity and strength, NATO will continue to rise to any challenge, to preserve peace, prevent conflict, and protect our people.
To be a good friend means that you want the same for your friends' kids as you want for your own. The chance at a better life. And when the darkest hour arrives, you know that you will not face it alone.
In the wake of the 11th September attacks against the United States of America, it shall be regarded as an action covered by Article 5 of the Washington Treaty, which states that an armed attack against one or more of the Allies shall be considered an attack against them all.
NATO guarantees our security and prosperity. Together, we work to prevent conflict and preserve peace for 1 billion people.
Tonight we gather to celebrate resilience, courage, and the power of transformative experiences. Mr. President, leaders, and distinguished guests, my own journey has been shaped by two profound chapters. My father's survival in a concentration camp and my service in the Marine Corps. These experiences have instilled in me resilience, offered invaluable perspective, and deepened my appreciation for life's complexities. They underscore the importance of individuals who their courage and sacrifice go beyond the call of duty. Tonight, as we come together to honor such remarkable stories and achievements, let us be inspired by the profound impact one person's journey can have on shaping our world. It is my privilege to introduce and welcome one of those individuals this evening, Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, a distinguished leader who has shaped the course of NATO's history. Secretary General Stoltenberg has served as NATO Secretary General since October 2014. Across a career that has included service as Prime Minister of Norway and UN Special Envoy for Climate Change, Secretary General Stoltenberg has shaped the global response to the most pressing challenges of our day. His tenure at NATO has been marked by groundbreaking initiatives. Under his leadership, NATO has implemented its largest reinforcement of collective defense since the Cold War, enhancing readiness to address terrorism, cyber threats, and hybrid warfare. Secretary General Stoltenberg's leadership underscores the importance of unity and commitment among allies, ensuring NATO remains at the forefront of global security challenges. Please join me in welcoming Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg.
President Biden, heads of state and government, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to be with you here today. And it's good to see so many friends. 75 years ago, in this very room, NATO's founding document, the Washington Treaty, was signed. Our alliance was created by people who have lived through 2 devastating world wars. They knew only too well the horror, the suffering, and the terrible human cost of war. They were determined that this should never happen again. So they founded NATO with a clear purpose: to preserve peace and safeguard freedom. A solemn promise, an ironclad commitment to protect each other. One for all and all for one. I have great respect for the Washington Treaty. Not least.
Invité distingué, le président des États-Unis.
Came together in this very room. History was watching. It had been 4 years since the surrender of the Axis power, the end of the most devastating world war the world had ever known. Here, these 12 leaders gathered to make a sacred pledge to defend each other against aggression, provide their collective security, and to answer threats as one, because they knew to prevent future wars, to protect democracies, to lay the groundwork for lasting peace and prosperity, they needed a new approach. They needed to combine their strengths. They needed an alliance. And here they signed the Washington Treaty and created the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the single greatest, most effective defensive alliance in the history of the world. Mr. Secretary General, leaders of NATO countries, foreign and defense ministers, representatives from partner nations, and the European Union, members of Congress, distinguished guests, welcome to the 2024 NATO Summit. It's a pleasure. In this milestone year, to look back with pride at all we've achieved and look ahead to our shared future with strength and with resolve. Together, we rebuilt Europe from the ruins of war held high the torch of liberty during long decades of the Cold War. When former adversaries became fellow democracies, we welcomed them into the alliance. When war broke out in the Balkans, we intervened to restore peace and stop ethnic cleansing. And when the United States was attacked on September 11th, our NATO allies always stood with us, invoking Article 5 for the first time in NATO history, treating an attack on us as an attack on all of us. Breathtaking display of friendship that the American people will never, ever, ever forget. Through all this history, when great changes occurred, people would ask, can NATO adapt? And every time we proved we could adapt, and we did, evolving our strategies to stay ahead of threats, reaching out to new partners to increase our effectiveness. And here with us today are countries in the Indo-Pacific region. Calm temperament, moment of crisis. Consummate diplomat who works with leaders across the political spectrum and always finds a way to keep us moving forward. Secretary, you guided this alliance through one of the most consequential periods in its history. I realize, as talking to your wife, I personally ask you to extend your service. Forgive me. And you put your own plans on hold. When the Russian war in Ukraine began, you didn't hesitate. Today, NATO is stronger, smarter, and more energized than when you began. And 1 billion people across Europe and North America, indeed the whole world, will reap the rewards of your labor for years to come. In the form of security, opportunity, and greater freedom. For these reasons, I'm pleased to award you the highest civilian honor the United States can bestow, Presidential Medal of Freedom.
European security since World War II. When Vladimir Putin launched this brutal assault on the people of Ukraine, betting that NATO would break, Secretary General Stoltenberg proved him wrong. Under his stewardship, NATO has become stronger and more united than ever, and Americans for generations to come will benefit from the safer world he helped create. He demonstrates that the core truth of the alliance is as powerful now as it was 75 years ago. Together, we are stronger.
seats are closing. Please rise for the turning of the colors and remain in your seats for the departure of the leaders and spouses. Invités distingués, ceci conclut le programme. Veuillez rester debout pour la retraite des couleurs et restez à vos sièges pour le départ des dirigeants et épouses.